Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Right. First, some technical issues before the show. Just an update telling everyone that we're fixing a matter currently and we'll be back online in just 1 minute. Mr. McIntosh, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you to everyone online for being patient with us. And we are now ready to kick things off. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Comsy Talks 2025. It's a new season, it's a new day, and we're almost at the end, but it's a new week. It's 1 a.m. Well, it's no longer 1 a.m. sharp. But I really want 1 p.m. It's no longer 1 p.m. sharp, but our intention was to start on time. Again, my apologies. I know Jamaicans have a reputation when it comes out to time, but we're trying to change that with Comsy Talks. No, Comsy Talks isn't just another talk shop. It's a movement and a platform where we connect big ideas with real solutions. It's CCCJ's way of saying we're not just keeping up with the world, we're shaping it. Today, we're diving into a conversation that touches all of us: artificial intelligence, literacy, and the role of community colleges in the 21st century. That is, again, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence, literacy, and the role of community colleges in the 21st century. Why? Because education in 2025 isn't just about passing exams. It's about empowering learners, aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and ensuring that Jamaica and the Caribbean thrive in a fast-changing global world. That's the reason that Comsy Talks exist. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Delano Jarrett, and I am the manager here at CCCJ for Client Relations and Marketing. At this time, let us welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Donald Powell Wilson, who continues to remind us that CCCJ's work is about transformation. My apologies there, but Mr. Norman Malcolm, our Director of Corporate Services, will be bringing us welcome. Mr. Malcolm? Just checking if Mr. Malcolm is online with us. it seems Mr. Malcolm may be experiencing some challenges, ladies and gentlemen, and therefore we'll move right along. Now, meet our powerhouse panel for today's conversation, Mr. McIntosh, Director of Curriculum Development, CCCJ, Mrs. Frances Reed, Curriculum Officer, CCCJ, and that's Ava Marie Frances Reed, Mrs. Susan Morrison Curtis, AI Expert, Excelsior Community College, and Miss Irma Morrison, that's right, Librarian, Excelsior Community College. Please send the word welcome in the chat as a way of joining me in making our guests feel welcome. Go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, let's participate, interact. Feel free to, when the opportunity is given, raise a hand. Speak up, send your question in the chat. My producer is here, ready and waiting to write those questions down and ensure that your questions are answered. So any further, let's get right to it. To throw the questions, but feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to keep the conversation going. Be conversational. This is for our panelist, Mr. McIntosh, who is online in the club. Let's all be relaxed and involve the persons online. So I want to start with Mr. McIntosh. Mr. McIntosh.
Yes, Mr. Jarrett.
Welcome again, sir. Please describe the CCCJ, specifically the OCII, and its role in terms of curriculum development, review, and audit. And tell us, not just what OCII does, but what is OCII?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be with you all, as well as my fellow panelists. All right, so the CCCJ, for those of you who are not aware, we are a statutory agency on of education, youth, skills, and information. And certainly we were formed by an act of parliament that was passed in December 2001. So the Council of Community Colleges, otherwise referred to as the CCCJ or the Triple CJ, we have twin objectives, which really is to supervise and to coordinate the work of community colleges, in which we have three main functions. We have a regulatory function, a promotional function, and a developmental function. Through these functions, the CCCJ, in essence, creates standardized curricula, that are used in our community colleges, as well as our affiliate member institutions. So that's where our developmental function comes from. Apart from creating programs, we design these new programs in response to the needs of the labor market. Curriculum review, this is where we systematically update and revise our curricula just to maintain its relevance, to ensure that it is aligned with national priorities, as well as ensuring that our programs are responsive to global trends. Audits. So as part of the quality assurance mechanism here in the Office of Curriculum Instruction and Innovation, we conduct two main audits. And these audits are known as a new program audit. And this is where, if an institution is interested in offering any one of our 60 plus programs, they apply to the CCCJ and we conduct that quality audit. The second audit that we also do is called a general compliance audit, which is basically done every 3 years. And this is where we visit the institutions just to look at and to evaluate whether or not the systems are in place in the different colleges to support the delivery of the program. So this audit is not just only geared towards the academic aspects, but we want to look at what are the student services and student development activities that are in the different colleges to support the holistic development of the learner. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. McIntosh. Now, tell us how is your department incorporating AI to boost literacy?
Okay. All right. So as regards the use of artificial intelligence, is important for us to note from a department's perspective is that AI is not a what I want to refer to it. It's not a replacement, but we use it as an enhancer for the things that we do. So literacy, whether it be reading, writing, digital information, data literacy, we believe that it is used to amplify and not to substitute. So what through our curriculum development efforts, what we do is that we support this scaffolded use of artificial intelligence. When we from the Secretariat, we are working currently on an institutional position as regards the use of artificial intelligence in our programs, etc. When we look at our program outcomes, our lessons, the different courses, we look at how we can use AI to amplify, to build progressively on these courses as they are translated in our colleges. So where AI tools accelerate skill practice, assessment still measures human literacies. So that is where we are. We're using AI to amplify, but not to substitute the practical design moves. Thank you.
That's very interesting, Mr. McIntosh. And I really appreciate your answer because we definitely should examine how we use AI. And for enhancement, you can imagine how AI will add to what we as the professionals can already put in. The content is what I'm referring to. For literacy specifically, in terms of librarianship, I'm thinking, how does the library, what role does the library play in this 21st century literacy as it is now? Let me pose that question to Mrs. Morrison Curtis.
Morrison is a librarian. I'm AI expert.
AI expert. Yes, that's right. Mrs. Morrison.
Yes.
The Morrisons.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your question. Libraries is, if we understand what libraries are,
Yes.
bridging the gap. Right? So libraries, they have a role to bridge the divides that we have among us. All right, so now that we're talking about artificial intelligence, the library has to find a way to provide access to resources that can help those who do not have the access to these artificial intelligence tools so that they can use them, to help themselves up into getting resources or using the different tools to be more effective in what they do, whether it's school or personal development and so forth.
And what are these tools? Are these tools that are accessible by the general public?
Yes, generally they are. Yeah. So you have like the ChatGPT, you have different forms of AI that we now use, whether we know it or not, whether we deliberately choose to or not. We are using it in our phones, we are using it in all of our devices that we are accustomed to using on a daily basis. So that's one way of how the library can bridge the divide for users of AI.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Because I think for a lot of persons, when they think about the library, they think about just a place with books. But I for sure know there are lots of things that are happening in terms of changing, and we have to remain dynamic in terms of how we accept where the world is going. The library and AI in different things that you guys do. For the average person who, let's say, know persons who are looking to improve themselves as it relates to literacy. How does the library seek to bridge that gap between the person who is not where we want them to be, but bringing them to where we now want them to be? Is this a process where, well, is this just through promotion? Because that's how I'm imagining that process. Is this a promotional effort? Is the library going out there in the streets to get these people? Are resources beyond even AI available for persons to just come in and access?
Yes. Libraries do have a promotional role in promoting literacy. But if we are to argue from the standpoint of library, how do we promote literacy or help people up in developing their literacy skills? We have to look at the different types of library and their functions in society.
Yes.
So, for example, in the public library setting, that would be more of a type of library that will encourage and teach literacy from remedial stages up into more advanced levels. And we are trying to, as a professional body, we are trying to encourage more of the functional literacy rather than just basic reading, writing, and listening skills, but how to understand, how to regurgitate, how to give back, and with more of substance when you are presenting, right? At the community college level, now we are training students in information literacy skills and how they can apply certain skill sets for lifelong learning. It's interesting that one day when I was at work, we had a meeting and something was said in the meeting, and I just texted my VP and I said to her, listen, I have an idea, and we're trying to work on that idea to just develop a program where we can target adult learners who are at the remedial level of reading, and to build them up to a certain level where they can now start to do their CXCs and maybe other programs within the community college sector. So the libraries do play a role in advancing literacy skills, but it really doesn't stop there because there are so many different types of literacy these days that are required for students in the community college sector, so that they can be effective at what they do when they're in.
And I'm glad you touched on students because I wanted us to look at it from much simpler than the community college sector. So just starting from how we address the general public, the students would come in there to see how the students use these library services, and most importantly, and I think now is where we go to this Mrs. Morrison Curtis to ask, what are safeguards for students and educators, of course, using AI? Because now that the library makes these services available, making efforts as well to reach all these students within your institution, Ms. Morrison, and I'm sure other institutions are doing the same. We want to ensure that not only are students accessing information easily, but they're using the information well. So, Mrs. Morrison Curtis.
Okay, thank you for having me. Safeguards. it has to start from what you call frameworks,
Mhm.
right? But before we go to frameworks, we have to do what you call education, literacy,
That's
AI literacy. It starts from there. We have to look at educating our students to use AI ethically in the educational sector.
Yes.
We need to educate them on the ethical standards that are out there as it relates to the frameworks that governs this institution in terms of the region, which is the UNESCO framework. One of the recommendations coming out of that report is that we start on a training level for our students to teach them ethically to use the tools in the classroom to improve what they're doing in the classroom. Also, to actually educate them on the limitations to which these tools can do, because one of the things persons are not aware of is that bias. It's a tool and it's giving algorithms based on instructions. So those instructions are given based on a certain set of information.
And just for our viewers, my apologies for interrupting, but algorithm, what exactly is an algorithm? You know, explain that to me.
All right, so algorithm, let me break it down into
Yes.
basic form.
Yes.
It's like you're in a classroom and your teacher is giving you the fundamentals of learning, A, B, C, right? Algorithm is the instructions that the programmer gives the tools to do their work. Now, based on information that you feed the tool, it will give you what the output. We need to educate our students to know what the output means. And also, not every output is generally the same. So you're going to have to look and check, what we call fact check, to see what you gave, what is actually there is what is happening now, right? Limitations such as hallucination need to be aware. Students need to be aware of that, because when the tool cannot give what it needs to give you, it starts to what we call make up the information. So now, with actually arming our students with the ethical standards, the know-how in terms of the limitations, they'll know improved in what they're doing using the tools for.
And thank you for that, because you're saying AI will make up information if enough content isn't given to it.
Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting. And for the students who are online, I think you guys should take that into consideration. I know professionals use artificial intelligence as well.
Yeah.
And if we are trying to put out credible, factual information, we have to be careful how we use it. Also, another question, in what ways do you think AI can help educators specifically with curriculum mapping, data-driven assessment, and learner tracking?
All right. It all boils down to calling curriculum mapping in terms of using the tool to improve what you have. I like to call it, I have a certain set of instructions, I know the information. Now I'm going to use the tool to break down that information into the standard that I can be able to understand. Scaffolding, understand? Differentiation of learning. So you can be able to give me the information that can assist me in going forward in teaching this actual course into my classroom. I can attest to you that I've piloted many of this strategy at the community level in terms of my teaching staff, where I will look at a course and I will say, all right, then the normal way of talk and talk can't use. So I'm going to ask the tool to give me a more informative way to break down this course material to my students. They have a tertiary level background. I wanted to ensure that you give me the different differentiation techniques to deliver this course into the classroom who they are at say for instance, a middle level of understanding. And it will provide information, and then we'll give you even instructions on how things can be done in remedial steps, so they can be able to understand the information. So with use of AI to actually, I'll be on what Mr. McIntosh to actually, what's this word again? Complement and enhance the material, so you can be able to break down some complex courses to make the students be able to understand, right? And it also runs back down to training, because there is a gap that is out there, right? 86%, I'm going to speak to this, 86% of our students' population is actually using AI in various forms, but only 40% of our faculty members feel comfortable using it in an instructional manner.
Is this problematic in terms of the gap there? So students are way ahead technologically.
Yes. So therefore, at the community college level, we need to put into place policies to govern the use of that, and also have training be employed into the navigation going forward, the new norm, because AI is here to stay. And also try to see what you can be able to integrate AI into your curriculums. So it will be more of a robust way of providing nurturing information and also equipping our students for the workforce of today. Because, mind you, persons now are looking at a 71% ratio, is looking at actually employing persons with limited skill sets of work knowledge. But if they have a developed skill set in AI, they don't take them. Because no persons are looking at not just what you can put in the table in terms of education, but do you have that skill set that is booming out there? Are you AI literate? So right now, someone will take an AI literate person over somebody that has a master's. And let me tell you.
That's right. And that's very, good to know. And for the, I think now, lecturers online, persons who are delivering this or curricula, it's important for us to catch up with the students. The students are leading now in technology. And therefore, we for some time, we'll probably be playing that game of catching up. Mrs. Francis Reed, for you, we spoke about how AI can be incorporated in the students' lives and their day-to-day tasks, but also for lecturers and so on. As it relates to community colleges now, how can the use of AI in curriculum design for especially a place like CCCJ strengthen literacy outcomes while fostering creativity and critical thinking? So how can somebody use AI in the curriculum design process to just make things better as it relates to creativity and critical thinking among those who were delivering the curriculum?
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of this August panel. First of all, the argument is there that AI will be taking a lot of jobs. I must be clear to say two such jobs that cannot be touched are one, curriculum designers, who are like the curriculum developers. And I say that because I'll tell you the other job after.
Yes.
Now, the point that you raised earlier when you said, how can AI help curriculum developers? The fact of the matter is, curriculum development is a process. So we go through a lengthy process to have a product. Now, in putting the product together, there's a lot of humanistic effort, which really precludes itself from artificial intelligence. We are not saying as curriculum designers, curriculum developers, that there is no space for AI. What we are saying, and I believe that's where we are collectively as curriculum developers, is that there is a space for AI, but then there is the space for the developers, because curriculum development is really about the users, and the users of the curriculum are the teachers and the students. So there is a place for the artificial intelligence, but the baseline of curriculum development goes through the needs analysis, it goes through...
Quickly, yes, just asking everyone to be aware, be mindful. If your speaker is open, please go ahead, do a quick check, and go ahead and mute. Thank you.
Right. So there are some things that are outside of the ambit of algorithm. And so, for instance, if you were to, and I've tried it with ChatGPT 5, I believe that's the latest ChatGPT.
Yes.
And if you give it a program and you say, develop a Bachelor of Science in, and you give it something, cosmetology, I guarantee you that although persons, the forerunners of AI will tell you that it is the leading agent now, I guarantee that Mr. McIntosh and I will outdo the AI only because the processes that we are able to go through in the humanistic way, the AI, I don't think it's there as yet, and I've tried it. So I'm saying that to say, we believe there is a space for AI, and so as it relates to curriculum development now, it's really about ensuring that the content, AI helps with the content, AI helps with the objectives, AI helps with the different parts of the curriculum. So we talk about setting assessments. As it relates to, however, the structuring of curriculum development, we believe for now, we will have our jobs. AI will not be able to replace us for now.
And just to touch on that, for now, do you think, how soon do you think AI, will be in a position to remove majority even of the workforce as it relates to, our field of curriculum development? And after answering that, how can we remain relevant? Mrs. Morrison Curtis spoke about, the content that we put in, and how the AI can fall short in terms of just making up things, which now even I am worried, because sometimes I ask the AI for some information and I know that I will put enough information into whatever it is, the system, and I'll say to it, I need more than this, because I know that it can.
Right.
So again, how soon do you think AI will, because it's developing so quickly, how soon do you think AI will be in that position, and what can we as the professionals do to combat that?
All right, let me start with that experience. My brother is located now in Egypt.
Yes.
He's studying, and his master's with the York University is in artificial intelligence and data analytics.
Yes.
He shared with me that part of his thesis is to develop a program, and he's to use AI. He wants to go out at sea and develop an artificial program that can detect autism. Right? Now tell me, it's autism. And that's because of where we are in the world, the global space as relates to autism. Now, his lecturers, who are facilitators in the UK, told him that it is almost impossible because the AI would first of all have to be able to detect facial expressions, the stimming. I know when persons are autistic, they tend to stim a lot.
Stimming. And could you explain that for viewers? What is stimming exactly?
All right, so
yes,
you may see a child, and one of the things that they're constantly doing is a particular hand motion, a particular movement. So they will be standing and they are moving, their eyes, and it tends to really affect not just physical but cognitive development of the children. Now, what the facilitator told him, and the facilitator said maybe in another 5 years we'll get there. The algorithm was not able to pick up things like language, and for the autistic children that are non-verbal, he would have to now go through expressions. So the point I'm making, that's when he got a wake-up call, because for him, artificial intelligence can do everything but blow breath. But he got a wake-up call when the facilitator told him in another 5 years. So what can we do now? Really? We have to ensure that we upskill as the marketplace, workforce, upskill so that we can say to our competitors and our clients, AI will not be able to do as much as I can.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And I think that's very important as well. We spoke about evolution earlier. And that's important because in becoming literate, I think most of us will now need to educate ourselves on how we can evolve our own field. We now need to always be innovative, to come up with new ways, things outside of the scope of AI, so we can remain relevant. As it relates to literacy, what is the current state of literacy? I'm posing this question to you, Ms. Morrison. The current state of literacy in Jamaica, what is that like? And also, how do community colleges contribute to addressing these gaps?
I had looked at some statistics recently. Share them with you. So the current
Yes.
students in Jamaica are around 87, 89% of the population. And I think that's fair,
Yes.
but I think it can be improved. And also among students ages 7 to 14, a lot of them have not acquired foundational learning skills or reading skills, right? But what can community colleges do to foster or strengthen this? We know that we are at the tertiary level of education system. So now we have to look at building on what the students come to us with, right? So, and that is why it's important for us when we are training our students in any area of study that they build on their lifelong information literacy skills that help them to build lifelong learning skills. Now they can be more analytical in their writing, in their understanding, in their reading. They can be able to present an idea without they're not flustered by it.
Yes,
They
that's right.
know what they're saying, and also we have this role in community colleges, libraries, or academic libraries, let me say that, where we try to engage with the communities, right? So if we can reach out to citizens within these areas where the community colleges are, then we can also target, people who are wanting to learn to read, who want to build themselves and create programs for them, open our doors to these individuals, right?
Yes.
We also can integrate AI into helping learners to develop those skills better as well. Whatever the tools, I don't know them yet, but whatever the AI tools that can be used,
Yes.
those also can be integrated to help even our own students to build their learning or reading capacity.
And beyond basic reading and writing, should literacy be redefined in the 21st century? Example, digital literacy, financial literacy, media literacy, information literacy, because you're field, you can imagine how persons misuse information, getting what they consider credible from maybe Wikipedia, because I heard on many occasions, and we have our friends, and when we want to prove a point, when we really want to prove a point, we say, you know what, never prove it to you, say this is true, and we jump on the phone, we search for what we're searching for, and we take whatever it is from Wikipedia just to prove that point. Whole time, we're wrong. So should the meaning of literacy be evolving just the same? Tell me, how do these forms of literacy impact the students' readiness for the workforce? Again, this is in reference to media literacy, information literacy, financial and digital literacy.
Okay, answer like this. I think yes, it should be redefined to include all of those. I think it has already been redefined because students are using up all of these literacy skills. All of these skills are important in a student's life. They maybe don't know that they're doing it, but it has evolved already because students, if they are going to do a coursework piece, they are required to use their computer literacy skills. They're also required to use their information literacy skills. And there are other skill sets that they may have been using within the arena or in their colleges that they don't know that they have to acquire these skills in order to, continue into the program because they can't use the computer. And the library is essential too because when these students come to us in the academic library space, we understand sometimes that some may not have an email address. we have to help them to create that because an email address is necessary for them to send and receive things from their lecturers, faculty members, even the administrative body of the college. So that is important. Some of them, they might have very basic skills in how to use the computer and systems related to it, you know. So we try to build the students because the library on its own has a teaching function.
Yes.
And so in everything we do, we try to assess our students when they come to us, and we try to help them through. You know, Mr. McIntosh alluded earlier to holistic development. And I think that's part where the library plays a big role because we are supportive of everything that is done within the college space relating to their program of study.
Yeah, man. And Mr. McIntosh, don't go anywhere. We'll be right to you. But before coming to you, you spoke about how these students, you know, sometimes need other, literacy in other areas. So creating an email. But what about how they create and use these emails? Because a lot of times you'll find even in the professional space, somebody has an email, tall man, yes, yes. So tall here, Vicky, but how can we create that as well? You know, well, I think you already spoke about it, you know, teaching them how they can use these things. And there are a lot of other factors which can also be added to ethics for the students, that is. But for the educators and Mrs. Morrison Curtis, this one is for you. So in what ways do you think, well, how can community colleges balance the benefits of AI with ethical considerations such as data privacy, bias, and equity? Because in thinking, if the artificial intelligence, if ChatGPT can then make up something for me, if you know it run out of ideas to say or content online, which you know it's checking, then why would or what limitations are there to prevent it from giving me Mr. McIntosh's content that he has inputted? I can imagine maybe me and Mr. McIntosh is studying the same thing, and he's the only other person who chose a topic that I chose. And you know, he gave GPT so much content that GPT decided to, you know, regurgitate the same thing for me. What are some of these ethical considerations? You know, and how does data privacy and such is a part of that?
All right. So what you're gonna have to do from a community college point of view is to establish what you call digital frameworks in terms of governance, which will actually cover and be able to protect students in the use of their data in terms of privacy. In initiating any form of education, you have to tell the students, no, that you're providing the tool with the information, but you are not supposed to give them the name, your age, where you live. That's that. So you give them the dummified information, general talks that you want them to actually answer to. And I will allude back to what I said before. You have to educate them on the limitations of what is happening. You may give the tool the information and it gives you back something. You still have to check.
That's right.
To see if this what you give is true. Also, you need to look at equity safeguards. Are these tools accessible to all of our students? Are they able to use it? And educate them on what to use them for. Because you have something called deepfake now that is out there. Persons using images of other people and using it in ways that are not educationally proper. So you have to let them know that yes, you can use, but you need to be understanding that there are copyright laws that you need to be able to understand. So you need to learn to know that there are do's and don'ts of using the tool, right? But I go back to it again. Community colleges need to have what you call transparent policies that be able to actually itemize all of these do's and don'ts to their stakeholders, which is the member institution and the students and population, so they can be updated on what not to do when they're using the tools in the space of education. As it relates to educators, we are educators and we must know that if it is that you're going to feed it information that has your input, take off some things so they don't be able to track it, right? Because all the tools now that I know of have improved what you call the terms of privacy policy, which is basically what governs your data protection within the space of using the tool. But every region have a different thing. What we can understand now is understand what policy guides us. The UNESCO framework is something that I'm being spitting on everywhere because it's what I guide myself in terms of what I put up. And also, the UNESCO has actually done a study on Jamaica. I sit on the Jamaica Task Force of Artificial Intelligence. So therefore, I'm often with these information. And one of the things are that we need to prepare ourselves what is coming. We have to be adaptive to what the tool can do for us. Service industries are going to be working harder now to save themselves relevant because now we're going to be generated AI is now the thing of the past. You're going to be using agent bots, agenic bots, chatbots that can do twice as much what generated AI can do.
And tell us, what is the difference between these agenic bots and the chat AI?
The generated AI is text generated instructions, while the agenic chatbot is text generated using prompts. You're now at a higher level, so you give it more instructions and it can do twice as much as what the generated AI can do. So for instance, you wanted to create a quiz for a tertiary, so for instance, undergrad students on World War II. It can be able to, while the generated AI may create just a text quiz and stop at question 10 and say it can't go any further because you're out of the time. The agenic bot now will take the information, create a solution, create a quiz, even go as further as providing a Google form for you and then link it.
Also, we're talking about a whole personal assistant.
Personal assistant.
The matter though, just to share of data privacy, you're able to actually give the AI a prompt to say, forget my information. So if you give a Word document and you're afraid of someone else using that, just tell it, forget my information, and it will respond to say, it is no longer in my memory.
Yes,
That's very interesting. I think, for all our 25 participants, it's a good thing that you're here because now you are finding out how you can prevent artificial intelligence. Well, you can prevent me from getting your image, Mr. McIntosh, because you uploaded your picture to GPT, for GPT to generate a cartoon version of you for social media.
And even right? Because when there was a trend that go around, and I'm going to show you my phone in a few, but pass it around that you can see. Now, there was a trend that went around that if you could create your own avatar, action figure. I was a little apprehensive in giving my picture to generative AI. But when I gave it, it gave me back a similar avatar to what I wanted. And I gave it the information to create my own action figure. I recently did a training with some teachers, and that was my default point. When you reach to the level of completing the course, you're able to create your own action figure.